This video describes the role of the administrator in the implementation of Sentio in a Relativity Workspace. It assumes that the Sentio application has been imported into the workspace and the Sentio server has been set up per the instructions in the Sentio installation guide. It also assumes that documents pertaining to the matter have been loaded into the Relativity Workspace. To configure Sentio, the administrator first navigates to the Sentio AI tab to display the Sentio dashboard. The first step is to select the appropriate version of Sentio. There are two versions of Sentio. Sentio Maestro begins with a model building phase and then uses those models to manage and check the quality of the human linear review. Sentio AI begins with the same model building phase, but then uses the models to predict the responsiveness of the documents that have not been reviewed. If Sentio AI was selected as the version, the administrator should then select one of two modes. If defensibility of the modeling is required for court, the Predict Responsiveness for Production and Defensibility mode should be selected. If defensibility is not required, the administrator should select the Categorize Documents for Internal Review mode. Either mode will accurately build the models using the same techniques. The difference is that when defensibility is required, a larger number of documents must be reviewed. Defensibility is performed through a control set of randomly selected documents that are used to measure the accuracy of the models. The control set requires many more documents to be reviewed, approximately 4 times the number required for model building. Because of this, defensibility should only be selected when it is required. The second step in the configuration process is to connect the Relativity Workspace to the Sentio server. The Sentio server should have been installed on a virtual machine accessible to the Relativity server. The administrator should enter the URL, including port 8000, of the Sentio server created for this workspace. Clicking the Test button will validate the connection between the Relativity Workspace and the Sentio server. The message "Connection Successful" will appear in the upper right of the dashboard. When the connection is verified, click the Save button to move to the next phase of the configuration. The issue tags to be modeled should then be entered. The tags and a set of priming terms for each tag should have been supplied to the administrator by the subject matter experts before Sentio is configured. Clicking the New Issue Tag button will open a window to define a tag. The name of the tag and a set of language-specific priming terms should be entered. If more than one language is to be modeled, the appropriate language should be selected from the drop-down list and a corresponding set of priming terms entered. Up to 5 languages can be specified. Clicking Save and New will store this tag and priming terms and remain in Add Tag mode so that more tags can be entered. On the last tag, simply click Save to save the tag and exit Add Tag mode. When the tags are entered, you should verify that each tag and its priming terms are correct. The Sentio project is now ready to be initialized. Clicking the Initialize Sentio AI Review button displays a window that provides a way to start the review. Enter the login and password supplied by Sentio software for that client and click Continue to proceed with the initialization. Please note, once the project is initialized, the Sentio version, mode, or issue tags cannot be modified. The other configuration parameters can be adjusted throughout the review, but these 3 will be locked once the project begins. The next step is to load the Relativity documents to Sentio. Clicking the Submit Docs button will display a window to start the load process. Only the extracted text of the documents is processed by Sentio. There is a configuration parameter that specifies the minimum size of the extracted text. Documents with fewer characters will be skipped and not processed by Sentio. Clicking Continue will initiate the loading of documents. The progress of the load will display and be continually updated as documents are processed until the load is complete. If you navigate away from the Sentio dashboard while it is loading, or if the Relativity connection times out, the load process will stop. To restart, simply navigate back to the Sentio dashboard, click Submit Docs, then click Continue to pick up the loading of documents where it left off. Once the documents are loaded, those assigned to the review must then be assigned to the appropriate user groups. There will be 3 user groups created when the review was initialized. The user groups are specific to the workspace. The user group name begins with the workspace name and the name of the group. In this example, the Sentio workspace is combined with either Sentio Admin, Sentio Model Builder, or Sentio Quality Controller to form the user group names. Users should be assigned to the appropriate user group using the standard relativity method. Be sure to add yourself, even if you have system administrator permissions, to the Sentio admin group, or you will not be able to continue with the next step of configuration. The final step in configuring Sentio is to create an initial document batch for each model builder. Clicking the Create Batch button will display a window where the number of batches to create, one for each model builder, is specified. Enter the number of model builders and click Create Batches. When complete, the workspace is configured and ready for the model building phase to begin. If new reviewers or documents are added to the project, the administrator should perform the corresponding tasks to bring them into the workspace. Otherwise, the configuration tasks are complete.